guys, Jessica Henry here. Just thought it'd be fun to go live today. I just haven't done a live video here on YouTube for a while, and I'm vacationing in Minnesota at my family's house, and I thought, while I'm here, they have these gorgeous Maine Coon cats, and I thought I would take a picture of my sister's cat here. This is a close-up of her. How gorgeous is this face, okay? Look at those eyes. And I was really inspired, and I thought, let's do it. So I am here, and I have a drawing, and I'm so glad to see you guys out there. That'd be kind of fun to go live today. So if you're just joining, we are gonna do a colored pencil of a gorgeous Maine Coon cat. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my camera down. So you might hear some background noises because my dad has an at-home business here, and so you might hear the phone ring or whatever, so who cares? Anyway, so here we are. We're gonna do this, it'll be fun. All right, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I think this will be a lot of fun. I'm gonna move this down a little bit and angle my camera down onto the my drawing paper. Look at these colored pencils. Can you see those out there? They are beautiful. So I've selected here just quickly the ones that I think that will be best for today's project. I'm gonna start with her eyes and then move my way out through the drawing. So I don't know if you can kind of see on this paper, I'm just using just regular Strathmore 90-pound drawing paper, and I just have a regular pencil here. I'm on vacation, I didn't bring my equipment. So I'm using my niece's stuff. So this is your classic HB school pencil with the standard eraser. And then we just photocopied her cat and have this awesome drawing. Her name is Lainey. She's a Maine Coon cat, and she's a tortoiseshell. So she has an extremely unique personality, and I love her, what they call tortitude. If you've ever experienced a tortoiseshell cat, they have this truly unique, different personality. And I know that it's picking up some glare on here from the light bulbs up ahead, and there's really nothing I can do about that. So I'll try to just move it every now and then so you can kind of see it. And then I've selected just some colored pencils here. Today we're going to be using a brand of colored pencils called Prismacolor Premier. Okay, these are awesome colored pencils. They have a buttery-like consistency, and I'm really excited to use them today. So let's get going. So I have again, this is just 90-pound Strathmore drawing paper. I like the tooth on it. It's just really subtle. So I've just loosely sketched her in place, and I'm going to go back over it with the pencil so you can see a little bit better about where I'm going with this. So I have her eyes just in place, and just darkening it a little bit so you can see. She's got this wonderful tilt to her head, and I really wanted to capture some of that today. So I'm actually going to start, when I begin color penciling this, I'm going to start with her eyes and just work my way out down to her nose, which is actually kind of really hard to see on here, but I think it's cool because we're going to really focus on her eyes. And if you guys have questions, go ahead and leave them, and I will try to get at them when I'm done here with this. So again, I just sort of drop down her nose in the right place where it's supposed to be, and I will go on from here. So if you have a picture that you want to color pencil, what I would suggest you do is focus on an area that you want to be your center of interest. And so what I did ahead of time is I just selected the colors that I think are going to best work with her eyes. I'm going to really start there and then work my way out, because if that's all I do, then I'm going to be really happy with it. Okay, so I have her eyes in place, and the first thing I need to do is to take into account where the little white spot is. So I'm going to draw that larger than what I need because I'm going to leave that spot white, just the white of the paper. Okay, and then now I look at her eyes and I'm looking for the next lightest light. And I'm going to hold this up a little bit closer so you can see her. See those eyes? Do you see now how you can see some yellow and some soft blue greens? So I'm going to start with those colors first. Okay? So I'm grabbing let's just grab this yellow. This is just canary yellow. And I'm going to do a light, thin layer over the whole passage of the eye. Very, very light. I know you probably can't see this very well at this moment, but as we build along and go further, you'll be able to see better. Okay, maybe I can actually even lower this just a little bit. So let's see what happens if I do that. Let's do one more. Okay, we're making progress. All right. So what I've done here is just a thin layer of yellow over the whole eye. Okay? So switching now, I'm gonna go to what I see on her eyes as the next lightest light. And to me, I see a very soft green. So I'm taking, this is Kelly Green. It looks more like a dusty sage, but I'm gonna put this over everywhere else except where I see the yellow spots on here. So just using, and if you probably can't see, but I'm using a line that's like this when I'm using the colored pencils. So I'm gonna come over here and just put this in, leaving the yellow around the area of the eyes where I see those. Let me move this down a little bit closer. So we'll do something like that. I did a little bit of practicing on this. I just did a sketch of this before I went live, and got to play with some of the different shadings in here already, and it's really beautiful eyes. Okay, so what I do to this eye, I'm gonna pretty much do to this eye. This one on this side is not quite as turquoise blue, and this one has a little more turquoise, so I'm gonna play with that a little bit more. This one has more olive greens over here. I promised my youngest fan, she's 5 years old, she really wanted to see me do a kitty. So this is for her, and I thought it'd be fun to do a kitty. Oh, what I picked here now is, this is called True Green. That looks more like a minty green, so I'm not sure that's a true green, but that's what it says on the colored pencil. So I'm just gonna put this in where I see some of these brighter green spots. Right in here. And again, when you're working in layers with colored pencil, you don't want to press too hard, because it will, it'll just create too much of a waxy layer, and you don't want that to happen too soon. I'm going to put the ones that I've already used just sort of off to the side over here, so they're out of the way. If I need them, I can get back to them. Okay, so now I'm going to, as I look on these layers and what's the next darkest dark, I think, you know what, I'm gonna actually jump in and just do a black for her iris, or for her pupil. Here's just plain old black. I wanna get some of these anchors in place, and so that's what I'm gonna do here. And it's very, first I'm gonna do it light. I can come back over it later and hit that a little bit darker. And I'm gonna keep the edge there very soft. Okay, just like that. And then make her eye, the eye of the cat is actually lined in a very dark, almost like eyeliner. And I think for filming purposes, it might be better if I start to put some of this in, because it's really hard to see. I know it's because it's much smaller on there than that. So darkening around this like this, make it easier. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back through and I'm gonna leave the black here because I'm gonna be using this in a lot of other places. So now I'm gonna start building up some more of the depth of layers in her eyes. So this is just, it's called lime peel. If I had to describe it, I'd say it's a little bit more olive green, but keeping very careful around the iris, because I really want that glow right around that, I say iris, I mean the pupil, around that black. Looks really, really neat. I'm keeping this over here, nice and soft. Almost like a buttery sort of consistency, just laying these down. All right, now for some fun, I'm gonna get in some of these turquoise spots in her eyes. And I see over here just some really neat areas of bright, bright aqua. And then down in the lower area of her eye, down here, and I'm keeping my strokes very soft and very light. Okay, and then a little bit, I'll just put a little bit over here. Very subtle. All right, now I'm gonna come back through here with a little bit of brown. And underneath the eye, I see some more of the brownish hints peeking through. I'll come back through here with a little bit darker olive. just to push that a little bit more on this side. Okay. Now I'm going to come through with a little bit more, what is indigo. That's what I was looking for, just a nice dark blue. And this is I'm going to use this to cast the shadow from her fur over her eye. And this is just going right along the edge where that fur is creating that shadow. And then over here, and around and under. That. And then over on this eye as well. And when you have a shine or sparkle, you really want to kind of darken around that area so that it really stands out more and you notice that shine more. That's how you really make those sparkles really stand out. So I just taught a video on watercolor painting, and it's the same concept when you're doing colored pencil. Work from your lightest light and work your way around to the darker areas in your color penciling. Gentle, soft layers. You don't want to just get too much color on there right away. All right, and I'm gonna just, while I'm thinking about it, I've just got a little passage in here where this bright yellow should live, right in there. Just kind of seemed appropriate. Same with over here. Okay, now I'm gonna come back through and really hit those darks, a nice strong dark contrasting color. Right, these pupils, nice and dark. And over here. And now I am actually pressing dark and hard with the pencil. And with this dark, while I have it in my hand, I'm going to work on that shadow that's cast there too. And over here. Okay, so I'm going to also start building up the dark around the eyes now. And this is all pretty much just strong black. So I'm going to hold this like this, and oh, you can't see. So I will hold this like this. So we'll just do that. And you can see too, by doing that, it really helps to create that illusion of that being a marble. And now I'm going to work on building around here like this. And then over here, nice and dark. Down the side of her nose, like this. And getting those accents down here, just so I can start to have some anchors and layers to see what I'm doing. And same with this eye.
Actually, I'm asking you to take this number on the call list, please. Thank you.
Like that. Oh, she's really starting to come together. So you can see how with these colored pencils, you can actually just sort of let it take shape right under the different values. And I'm using these lines on here like this. You can see it's almost sort of a little bit of cross hatching. I'll build up some more layers and get some of those ochres in there, but I'm using these lines to define the form and the way that her fur is laying on her face. And she's got this almost split in half area of her forehead here where this pattern comes down. So I'll get some of that in here too. So I think if I hold my hand like this, you can still see. And don't push too hard too soon. So just let this be like a nice passage of value, and then you can come back through and make those a little bit darker. But in the meantime, just keep your pencil strokes in the angle that these need to go in. So I'm going that way. Just working to let those show form. I'm going to press a little harder in here to help define that. Really want those eyes to be tucked into her eye sockets in here. And this will come down like this. And littler strokes where the hair is shorter. So, of course, on her nose, there are shorter, smaller pieces of hair, cat hair. So just use smaller, more tighter cross hatching. Good to see you guys. If you leave a comment, I really only see it for about a second, but I'll see if I can get to them afterwards and try to answer any questions or comments. Okay, so we're getting this cat, Lainey, in place. Again, allowing the strokes of the pencil to show form in the direction that the fur would go in. And I'm not really, it's not my intention to create a fully finished drawing here, but just to give you the idea of how to use colored pencils. If you have a really nice set and you're really not sure how to make them work for you, this is a really great, just an object lesson in how to make them work. Working in layers and building it up. And you can see how I'm altering the direction that the strokes of my pencil go in. And then under here, this will be a nice dark value here too. It really makes her chin pop. She's got this adorable bright orange chin. So really encourage some of that. I know that there's a glare on there, but okay. So I want to get the shape of her head. If you're just joining me, this is our beautiful model, Lainey. She's a Maine coon cat. She belongs to my sister and my niece. They're letting me use their materials here. I'm on vacation in Minnesota visiting my family, and they have this stunning cat named Lainey. And she's a Maine coon. She's huge. These are really big cats. And they have these marvelous tufts of hair at the end of their ears. And it doesn't really show up that much in the photo, but I know it's there, so I'm just going to put it in anyway. So I'm just demonstrating here how to use the colored pencils in today's video. I haven't been live on YouTube for a while, and I miss you guys, and so I thought, why not just do this? And getting some of these hairs, little hairs up in there. And again, I'm not going to really push this drawing to a complete finish today, but just to try to get the idea of how to use them. So working my way around. If I were to be working on finishing this drawing to a complete finish, I would be building up this value to a lot darker. So, but for now, I'm just going to kind of go back to her focusing on the area of her eyes for a while and getting this a little bit closer to a finish in this specific area. Just so you can see how you would do like one tight area. I'm thinking about fur when I alter these strokes, little chunky swipe like this, chunk swipe, chunk swipe. I'm sure that's a technical term, chunk swipe, so forth like that. And then her cheek kind of comes down like this. Nice and dark down here. There are areas where if the value isn't dark enough, it is not going to read correctly. So you do want to try to work on certain areas to get it the right value that you need it. And there's sort of a darker value on kind of this side, this passage of her cheekbone, and it sort of defines her face over here. And I feel that's important. So Maine Coons are known for having these luxurious coats, long and fluffy and silky. And so I'm going to really try to just show a little bit of that on here and just really try to capture that. And I have my pencil sharpener here today, so we're going to use this. If you're just joining me, I am not in my regular studio today. I'm visiting my family in Minnesota. So I thought this would be really kind of a fun one, just to do a fun video lesson on using colored pencils and My niece's cat is just gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm just putting a thin value over her nose. Just putting a value down here on her cheek. And then I'm gonna kind of let some of this just sort of do its thing. I might work with that a little bit later. But there's her fur going that way. She's got some long, laney hairs this way. All right, so I can come back in here and get these later, but for now, that's kind of just fine at the moment. All right, so we're gonna leave that. I'm gonna walk away from that. Actually, we're gonna leave the black right there. And now I wanna go back through here and pull in some more of these umber tones that I see in her fur. Thanks, guys. And this is just sienna brown. And so I'm gonna come back in through here and pull out just some of these where I see a little bit of warmth in her fur. It still looks black, but I can see some of these different textural areas. And so I'm gonna pull that in a little bit more. And I am pressing a little bit harder here because this area, the value is so dark. And I want to get some of that showing up in there. And I am going to work on in more colors into this area. If I go like this, I think you can still see. But for now, just as a base, I'm using this sienna brown. Okay, and then over here, we see a lot more of this sort of peppered brown. So I really want to get some of these in here. I love her attitude in this photograph. It just had this really kind of unique sort of, you know, catitude, tortitude, whatever going on. And you can feel too as you're working, if you get some good colored pencils, you like the catitude? But if you're working with really good colored pencils, it just has this buttery, silky feel in the texture as it glides over the paper. So this is really fun. I said at the beginning of this video that this is my niece's cat, and I'm here visiting my family in Minnesota, and so she's gracious to let me use her very wonderful, lovely colored pencils and using her cat as a model for today's video, so I'm giving her this picture as a thank you. So I really appreciate it. That'd be kind of fun too. Let's put a thin layer of brown over her ears because you know, they just need to have some color here. Nice and thin. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna just set this one aside because I'll use that again. But I'm gonna put a thin coat of, this is called mineral orange. I'm gonna put this on her chin down here. I'll come back through here with different layers and pull out a little bit more depth in this. And let's put some of that in this lower fur passage down here. And then, time that I've had a lot of trouble. Okay, I'm reading your brush on fire comment. Cold press creates, oh, the comment disappeared, but I will try to get back at your comment in a little bit if I'm able to. But yeah, I don't know what you said about using colored or cold pressed watercolor pencil. I think you were saying that you did watercolor pencil paintings and then you did color pencil over the top. And as far as I know, that's acceptable and okay. You can definitely do color pencils on any sort of paper. I have done watercolor paintings just with regular watercolors and then done colored pencil over the top. And those colored pencils will be fine if you don't plan on doing any more water work on the paper. If you want to go back through after you've done some watercolor pencil work over your watercolor painting, you need to have watercolor pencils to make that work. But that's only if you plan on doing more water work. If you do a watercolor painting and you're using regular watercolor pencils when you're all done, and I'm sorry, regular colored pencils when you're all done, you're not gonna be able to use water on it afterwards. I hope that made sense. I got my left and right brain working here. So watercolor pencils, fine for water. Regular color pencils, you don't want to do if you're ever going to use water with them. All right, so that's fine for that layer. Now I'm going to build up a little bit darker layers around her, kind of where her mouth meets with the top of the black there. Just a little bit darker passage under here. Now, of course, this is just a demo, so like I said at the beginning, this is not going to be pushed to a very high finish, but it's just, the point is just to show you how you can build up with many layers and to make this start to really take on a sculptural feel. If you're enjoying these videos here on YouTube, what we are doing here with, I'm co-founder of a company called Renaissance Creative Arts, and we are doing all kinds of instructional videos. But the difference here with what we're doing on our Renaissance Creative Arts is these are just sample videos. The ones for our business are much higher quality, and they also come with a workbook. We always do workbooks with our instructional videos. And many of the workbooks contain as many as up to 20 pages or more. So you get a lot of information with what we provide. So what I did here now is I just switched to a black, and I'm going to start to try to sculpt out a little bit more of the actual anatomy in her face. And just pulling out a little bit more of the structure so that it just sort of makes more sense. Sometimes when you're working in all the detail, if you don't start really hitting those value strengths, it can get mushy looking, and it'll lose that strength of form. So you really do want to not lose that. So I'm kind of pushing a little bit harder on these, just like that. So anyway, yeah, Renaissance Creative Arts, we're doing lots of different art instruction videos, and we have workshops that we're working on for next year, and planning all kinds of things. And also we are doing, and are in the middle of our Renaissance Academy. It's an online art instruction program, and it's based in classical impressionism, which basically means that I've taken my background training from my classical years at the Atelier Le Sueur, and I've combined my training there with that with a little bit more of an impressionistic style. So I teach, actually not just I, we have guest teachers as well, about everything you need to know to become a very traditional, fully functioning artist. We start at the beginning with just your basics in drawing, and then we move up through watercolor and pen and ink, and right now we're doing landscape and plein air, and then we're going to be getting into drawing horses and animals, equine. We're going to be doing still lifes and portraits, whatever. You can join at any time, and if you're not interested in a certain subject, you don't have to do it, or you can just buy the specific segments as you like. If you're just interested in portraits, that'll be a wonderful segment. Just still lifes, whatever. And so we've got a lot of great things planned, and we have a fabulous lineup of different classes we're going to be doing. So you'll wanna look into some of that if you're interested in what you're getting here, and that's just at renaissancecreativearts.com. And you can go there and check out more information on the Academy or our different videos. So great stuff. We're reaching people all over the world, and it's just been really exciting to hear the different testimonials from people. So I'm working on now just pulling in some of these more darker values, and I just want to sort of enhance some of the features here before I wrap this up. And I don't want any white down here. Really only want the areas of white to be the shines in her eyes. So I'm just kind of sculpting out her nose a little bit more in here and around as it comes down like this. And Maine coons are known for their long whiskers, so I'll try to get some of those. So there's it's got her little bit of her nose, the little middle thing in her nose. Now I want some of these darkers down here. So I'm going against the direction of her fur just to create a nice strong shadow mass area. And then also down here. And like I said too, if I had more time and this was something I was going to work to a really strong finish, I would be pushing these values to a nice strong dark, but I'm not going to do that. But either way, I hope that you can see how with the water or with pencils, colored pencils, you would definitely want to work these in layers like that. So I'm going to take some of this color here and see if it'll work. Maybe I can put in a few of these whiskers, just to suggest them like that. And they're about 4 inches long, these whiskers are. Beautiful, beautiful whiskers. She's got some coming up this way. Or you can just throw them around. Now, I'm just going to come back through her. There's just the eye passage and see that everything is the way that I wanted it to be. I'm going to try a little bit of this chartreuse color just to do a light kind of glaze over the entire eye, just to smooth it out. And then I'll come back through here with a little bit darker color, the black. Let's do the, well, what's this color? Let's do this. This is a warm gray. So looking back over this, I am going to just sort of hit up some of these passages like that. Just a little bit to create that illusion of that shadow being cast over the eye. And I kind of messed up on something a little bit right here. Excuse my hand, I know you can't see. There we go, that's better. I had to fix it. All right, well, I hope that that has been helpful. Again, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below and I will try to get at them. If you guys are enjoying these videos, go ahead and like and subscribe, and you can hit the little bell next to it to be notified of whenever I put up a new video. And show you that up close. Okay, so there she is. Lainey, don't forget to sign your work. And so that wraps us up. I hope that hope you guys enjoyed that and that you had a good time here. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked what you saw, and hit that little bell and you'll be notified whenever I put something new up. All right, you guys, thanks so much and have a wonderful day. Good to see you. Bye-bye.